Welcome to Your True Work by Métier Council. I'm your host, Yesi Fortuna. I'm a business and life coach, founder of Métier Council. But more than that, I'm someone who observes and walks the same path you're on. Like you, I've asked, how do I build a business that feels like home? Can I be both strategic and soulful? This podcast is where we ask and answer those questions together. We'll uncover the hidden blocks that keep you from asking for what you truly need from clients, collaborators, and yourself. We'll use these inevitable challenges that come as windows into your resilience, your power, and your next evolution. Every episode is an invitation to come back to yourself, to hear what your business is really asking of you, and to remember that sustainable growth starts inside. You don't need to hustle harder to earn your worth. You already have what it takes, and I'm here to help you see it. This is Your True Work. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to episode 1, where I deep dive into a conversation that I had with a group of members. We started what I'm coining as the Resilience Lab. And so this is a challenge, a 5-week challenge, where I go into different ways of trying to approach this time of stagnation that we're going through. And I compartmentalized each week to focus on something new. On the first week, we started with a grounding meditation as well as a discussion validating the one focused offer that we want to focus on during this 5-week program. So my idea is that if we are trying to make sure that we have some income coming in, that we have some type of offering for our customer base during this weird time that we're going through in early to mid 2025, that maybe we just focus on one thing instead of the entire business. So that was the idea with this first week. And let me tell you, I learned some things right away. As I mentioned, the first part was meditation, grounding meditation. The second part was a discussion about individual ideas of how they can offer this one thing. And the grounding meditation was so good. It really helped people to get into their authentic self. They got to meet their inner child as well as their wiser self. And through this dialogue with the younger self and the older, wiser self, hopefully they would be able to align with the truth of their being. And so that when we talk about the offering that they want to focus on, that it is truly aligned with what they have in their heart and what really wants to be expressed and be aligned with their free self from their wiser self. And it was really cool being able to listen to how each person's younger self and wiser self developed and what properties about them stood out. Something that I learned through this process is that a lot of us are expressing ourselves in a limited way. And even though these people in the group, most of them have been in their industry for a while and have been running their business for a while, they're still finding themselves feeling like they haven't fully expanded into their greatest possibility. And I really think that this is a look at where we are as a collective right now. I truly do believe that we are transitioning into a collective period where we are having to let go of things that haven't worked for us in the past, or forcibly having to let go of things that worked for us in the past. So we did go through a small amount of releasing things that are too hard for us to hold right now. And in the process of that, at the end, we then started to talk about the offering that we want to share with the world. And it was pretty cool seeing how what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. For example, I thought that we were going to have a very clear cut, okay, out of my photography business, I will be offering newborn photos. I will focus on newborn photos because that is what I'm known for. That is the easiest thing that I've been able to sell. I can do a bunch of them back to back. So I feel confident that I'll be able to have a good revenue coming in for that. But it didn't work out that way. I noticed that a lot of us are in a place of deeper transition where we're all looking for a change. Like we're yearning for something greater, something bigger to happen to us, where we're able to express ourselves more free and hopefully be able to make income from that expression. And I was pretty surprised by this. I do think that it makes sense because of the transition that I've been talking about. But I share this because I think that it's important to know what is happening as a collective, that we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves as we're experiencing it, because you're not weird, you're not being overreactive. This is truly where we all are right now. And if you trust that, you know, you are exactly where you need to be, then you can understand, like, how can I learn from what is being presented to me right now? So, something that we did was we reconnected with our creativity and our playful imagination. So, what I mean by that is during the meditation, I had them use their imagination to visualize different things. As the call progressed, I realized this imagination is yearning for more within our daily lives. And we began to use it as an anecdote for figuring out, what do I really want? Because a lot of these business owners are saying, I want to pivot. I want to offer something else. I want stability in the sense that I know I can do it for a long time. I'm thinking about my future. And so I started to say, okay, great. Well, in this next week, make sure that you are being playful. Make sure that you are connecting with your inner younger self. And what do they want to do? What is it that you can give them space to just freely play? Because frankly, a lot of us in our childhood didn't have that safe space to just create. And even if you did, our parents, we are practical as parents and we want the best for our kids. And so a lot of the times we end up tampering something that is really alive in them and personal to who they are, because we are afraid that it won't provide a good future for them. And that might have happened to you. So, in the process of not letting our creativity run wild and letting our imagination run the show, then we don't really have a good line of communication with our imagination, with our creativity. And that's a shame, because then we get to this point where we want to get connected and it's just so far and estranged that we assume that it's unrealistic, and that's just not the case. So we are spending this week being playful, letting our inner child run the show. What is it in the sense of creativity only, not in triggers, of course. And so that's what we're focusing on, and figuring out what is it that I'm going to decide to focus on in these coming weeks. Now, I think it's important to mention that if we're talking about a period of stagnation in the industry or within yourself, that typically means that you don't have as fluid of income coming in, and it is very still out there and you're looking for ways to have them come in. Now, if you pair that with wanting to pivot and transition into another expression of yourself, oftentimes that means that expression that is wanting to birth itself and grow from being a baby, if you will, for lack of a better reference, then it's probably not going to be the thing to give you income right now. So I did mention that it is totally okay and sometimes needed for you to do something else that will bring you that stability. Even if it is still something that you offer, it won't completely drain you if you focus on this offering to make sure that you have that income. or if you get a part-time job or something that you are still really good at, that it won't take a lot from you. Because I know for myself that when it comes to having different jobs or being pulled in different directions, I can only do so much. And then my imagination and my creativity will not be able to thrive because I'm not giving it that space and attention because I'm so drained from other things. So it definitely is a fine line. And I think it's different for each person what that stability will look like. But I really think that it's important to call that out because while we do want to express ourselves and find new ways to pivot and make an earning in them, the fact of the matter is that it will not happen overnight. It just won't. And if it does, great, but it's not going to be sustainable. Meanwhile, you need to make sure that you are covered. So I think it's important that we all know that in this time of transition, while we should be paying attention to what is wanting to come up from within us, at the same time, please be honest about what you need. And if you want to slow down and like focus on this new thing, please lessen your expenses. Like audit your bills and the past couple months and look at what subscriptions do you have that you do not need to be paying in this time. Like I think it's really good to remember that if you can only make so much, then you can limit what you intake even further. So, live off of less because it takes more for you to make that income. If you're spending $20 on this and that random thing here and there, are you making that much all the time? Maybe not right now. And that's okay. You can always subscribe again later. There is nothing wrong with adjusting to the state of where you are right now. In the past, I know I would get really excited about what I could manifest. And I would say, oh, I'm going to manifest this job and this. And it became so normal for me to just manifest the next thing. So I had high expenses because it was how I wanted to express myself in the moment. And I was just so excited about all this stuff coming in. Frankly, things do change. It's very natural for things to come in cycles. And for a period of time, it's been slower in some industries. And so naturally, some things ran out. And I think it's important to remember, oh, yeah, like I can pull back on what I am consuming, especially if I have focus and attention that I'm going to do something with this time. I'm using this pulling back time frame as a jumping off point, and I'm going to make something good of this time. That to me is the epitome of being aligned and having focused energy because things change all the time. Who's to say that you're not going to be able to go on these trips and do all this stuff a little bit later? This is the time for you to incubate those ideas that are coming to you right now. Something that I want to continue to ponder on and get more insight on is thinking about some of our career choices and paths having a lifetime to them. And if your career path you cannot retire on or see yourself doing for a long time, how do you become resilient in that offering? This is something that came up during our call, and I think it's important. And I don't have an exact answer for that. I think a lot of things don't have an answer to, but asking about them, questioning it, and adding it to the drawer of things to pick up later is important. And I think that that's one of them. It depends on what industry that you're in, but what does come to mind is that remembering that even though you're offering your service, your product is an expression of you, oftentimes we forget that you are the source. You are the renewable source that continues to dream up new ideas to make this offering last. And if one day you need to begin to shift that offering, you do not have to fall into this fear-based idea of doubt, self-doubt, and unknown. The unknown doesn't have to be completely like a hole of nothingness. Can we try to make the unknown like a dance with our future self, a dance with what exists, a dance with everything that we've learned along the way, and definitely a dance with nature and everythingness that is God and everythingness that is existing and ever, you know what I'm saying? Like the sign of the times. We don't create things in a vacuum. We create things in a community, in a setting on earth. Like all of these things affect us. And so turning the idea that uncertainty doesn't have to be a scary box. Let it be a creative box, an abundant box, a box with a million ideas. And that's scary in its own way, but I'd rather have that and be motivated by a million ideas than like motivated by the idea that nothing will work. We've run out of time. This is the end. I don't know if that applies to everyone, but I know that has applied to me. And when I hear people talk about uncertainty, it often leans in the direction of fear. So it's something that I want to launch an idea of, can we let uncertainty be a box of abundance? And at the end of the day, what we're all experiencing in this time of transition, of stagnation, of having to shed things, having to pivot, is grieving and realizing that our professional identities are asking to be looked at and are asking to be recognized for what it offers, what you offer, but also the necessity of the moment. And a lot of us have to figure out how to leave things behind and how to make sure that we're not hanging on too long and too tight to unserving patterns, be it in your business or in yourself, or obviously it's probably both. And accepting that the evolution of your professional life is necessary. The only thing that is certain is that change is inevitable. Our businesses will need to change. Sometimes they'll change for the better, and sometimes they'll take a step back, and you will wonder, is this something that I need to stop doing and pivot? For some of us, maybe. And maybe we'll need to take a side job or something a little bit less glamorous, and maybe you do need to cry about it. Maybe you do need to get super upset and release whatever thing is happening to you through true expression and grieving the loss. And some of us, it won't be so harsh. Either way, it is begging you to look at it, hold it. And a practice that I really think helps to get there is the practice of saying, this feeling belongs. So I will say, this feeling of shame belongs, and I will watch how my body completely softens around those words, because we spend so much time being ashamed of our feelings and ashamed to actually accept what's happening in the moment, for fear that it'll be too much, or for fear that we won't know how to handle it, or for fear that it's bad to have these emotions. And frankly, the second that you say it and accept it and say, you belong here, oh my gosh, it is the best feeling, because you realize that it doesn't have this power over you that you thought it did. Like, you again are the resource. You again are the one building and creating. You have the ability to create these limiting ideas, and you also have the ability to soften them and let them pass. Because these emotions, although they may seem like they're ruling our life, they really are not. And we are living with them. And when we treat them as a thing rather than a jacket and an identity that we are running away from or within, if we treat it as a thing and just say, I see you, you belong, they come and go so fast. And the more that you do it, the easier it is. So I definitely want to leave you with that practice. If you are experiencing these moments of stagnation and these moments of uncertainty, definitely these moments of wanting to change, albeit personal or business or both, you're not alone. This is something we're all going through together. And frankly, to me, being an optimist, that just tells me that our future is going to look so much better and so much like cooler because we're all trying to align what we do with who we are and who we want to be. So imagine a world where we're surrounded by things that are just brilliant and different and unique and helpful and exactly what you need. And that is a future that I want us all to push ourselves to, no matter what is happening in the world and around us. Take some time to separate ourselves from what's happening outside and focus on what is this moment calling me to do and look at. I thoroughly believe that it is the way through, and we have to create that relationship with ourselves. So stay tuned for more insights on what I'm learning from the groups that I'm working with. As I mentioned, this is the Resilience Lab with Métier Council that we have going on. It's a 5-week challenge that I'm calling it because we are very focused. We have a very specific thing that we're working on each week to make sure that we are resilient in our work, in our life, in our being, and have this support network to help us get through these stagnations. So if you want to subscribe and be a part of it, you can also go to the website and be a part of our email list so I can make sure to let you know when the next one is open, and stick along for the ride. I'm really excited to see how it all comes together.